I don't know if you've ever worked with a spreadsheet before, but they are a lot of fun. Now, I know you're probably saying I'm not into math, but spreadsheets can make it a lot easier to work with information and to organize information. Now, to access Google Sheets, um, we're going to actually go up here to the app launcher and go down to Sheets, and it's going to give us the standard Google Sheets look. So as you can see here, I have sheets, and then I can go in and add a blank sheet, or I can take advantage of the template gallery as we've seen in other Google products. And there are just a lot of different templates. Some of these are education appropriate and some aren't necessarily relevant. Now, I prefer to create a new Google Sheet simply by going to where the folder I want to work in and creating a Google Sheet that way. So I just use the right click Google Sheets. You may want to use the new button and click on Google Sheets. However you get to it, you will end up at an untitled spreadsheet that you can then begin work on. I always like to give my spreadsheets a name as soon as I get in. So I'm just going to call this grades. And notice that you have a lot of information and power sort of uh, available here. In each one of the drop downs, there are different options and possibilities and things that you can do. What's more is if you come over here to add-ons, you can actually get additional add-ons that will even will let you do so much more. Today we're going to be sort of exploring and experimenting with some of the basic features of Google Sheets. Um, so to do that, what we're going to do is essentially create a list of names and then assign different grades or values. This will sort of resemble a traditional gradebook. So to set up my gradebook, I'm just going to start it out with last name, first name, and notice that as I press the tab key, I'm moving from cell A1 to cell B1, and now I'm over here in C1, and it's identified by this blue highlight. So I'm just going to put in assignment number 1, assignment number 2, assignment number 3. Now I could spend a little bit more time sort of making this look nicer. I could bold it and change the background colors if I wanted to. I could easily adjust the colors for all of assignment 1. I can come over here to this little bucket and choose yellow. Assignment 2 could be a different color, and it's as simple as that. Um, Now, one other key thing to do when you're setting up your top headers for columns, and of course for a column, all the student last names are going to go in this column, all the first names are going to go in B column, and then I'm actually going to put grades here. So for last name, I'm going to just type in a few. I have a big family, so they're all going in here. Yeah, I think we have enough there. And let's say that I wanted to just quickly assign grades. So on a scale of, whatever, 100, so 88, 33, 99, 100, 22, 50, 80, and I can just do this something similar here. Again, what I'm doing is simply putting work in. Out a little bit. Okay. And I can easily sort of adjust the size of these columns to match the data that's in them simply by clicking on the little dividers between the columns. By double clicking on that, it will adjust them. Now I can always re-enlarge them or double click on them again and it will shrink those in. If I want to, I can also come up here and change the alignment so that the information inside the cells, inside of each of these little boxes, is centered. And I can also do some simple mathematics. So let's say that I wanted to figure out the average. So if I want to do the average of these, I could type in my equal sign, and it's going to say, well, what do you want to average? Do you want to average C2 to E2? And that's great. That's exactly what I want to do. I could just press enter. But before I do that, I want you to notice that it says the word average, open parentheses, C2 colon E2 close parentheses. And what that's saying is that it's going to work its magic with C2, D2, and E2, these cells, and then give me the average in this box. So when I click on that, it actually puts the formula in here. When I press enter, it's going to give me that average. Now, it would be kind of cumbersome if I had a full class or a full roster to actually do that all the way down. So I can click on this little box and just drag down. And what it does is that it adjusts the formula so that instead of being for C2 through E2, C2 through E2, instead the next one in line, the next row, is C3 through E3. And it does that with all of those. Now, let's say that I decide I only want to go to one digit here. So what I could do is decrease the decimal spaces using this button on the toolbar. And there we go. Now I have decreased the numbers, and now I have it rounding up or not. And so whether you do or not, that's up to you. I can also choose to do something called a sum. So let's say that I wanted to do a sum of points. So just gonna, let's see, insert one left. Maybe my points are for extra credit. Okay, and so I wanted to maybe I could say the total number of points, total extra credit points earned in the class might be the sum of all of these values here, C2 through C7. And now I have, wow, my kids earned 102 extra credit points this semester, or the 6 weeks or 9 weeks based on that. If I wanted to adjust their average as a result of the points, then I could just easily do that, select that plus the points. And all I did with there was just do a simple formula, G2 plus C2. So G2 plus C2. And if I scroll down, it will add those in as well. Obviously, there's problems here. You can't get 126, can't get 103, etc. So I could come up with another formula, but this sort of covers some of the basic formulas that you can do. Now, if you wanted to sort this column, notice that everybody has the same last name, but if I were to go through and change the names to, if I were to change the names, then I would end up with, I would want to be able to sort this and put them in alphabetical order by last name and then first name. Before I do that, I want to make sure that I set my column headers just so. I do not want my column headers, unfortunately, to be sorted along with the data. Because if I do that, what will happen is if I come up here to data, sort by column A through Z, you can see that last name, first name, points, assign, etc. would end up being sorted. I'm going to press Control Z for undo. So if I wanted to do that, one way to do that is to come over here to this little line And what this will do is it will freeze the information that's here. So it'll say, okay, everything above this line is a header for this column. And now I can quickly just go there and sort sheet A to Z, and I have an alphabetical list of all the people and all their grades, and everything that was belonged to them on that row has been organized. So very quick way to do that. Also be aware that if I wanted to graph student data, I could do that. You'll notice that I selected last name and then I selected average. And my hope is that I'll be able to graph this. The way I did that was I used the control key to select last name, and then I selected averages over here all the way down. And so now what I want to do is be able to insert a graph of that information. So my best guess here is that I'm going to go up to insert a chart. And as you can see, I have the information. It's average versus last name. So I can see the average, and then I can see the last name for each of the students. Looks like there's a new chart editor. I'm just going to go ahead and click dismiss. There are lots of different charts that you can use. Some of these are going to be appropriate for the data that you're using, and some aren't. So you just have to find the one that matches your data and the type of information you're trying to share with others. So there's a column chart, and there we go. So I usually like to use this. I can see very quickly that Alan is doing the best in my class. And you know what's really neat about this is that I can actually take this information, I can copy this chart and put it someplace else. So I would be able to pull this or insert this chart into a Google Doc. So you might not be asked this, but if I wanted to insert a chart, I can come here to a chart from Sheets, and you can see that there's the chart. So I select that, and here's the chart that I made. And by having it linked to the spreadsheet, if I come back and I make changes, let's say that change that to 100. Alan is doing really well now. If I come back to my document, I'll see this update button. I hit update and it adjusts Alan so that it's up to 100 right there. So that's just some quick features that you can take advantage of. If you wanted to just quickly copy a chart over, just select, and then holding the shift key down, select the rest of it, and then you can come in and you can paste the table in, and if you choose to link it to the spreadsheet, it will actually pull the table and update it live in your document. Or you can just paste it if you were just organizing information. This is really powerful because the link to spreadsheet means that you can continue to modify your information in one place and it will update in the others. So again, I can come back here and adjust Alan's average to an 83, and what should happen is that I come back here and I should be able to update this and it will adjust to an 83. So really incredible and powerful tools that you can use with Google Sheets. Add-ons gives you even tons more functionality, and there are a lot of fantastic things you can do. But for the scope of the exam, this covers pretty much the basics.